My name is Stopera, and this is my DSARI home energy audit that I conducted. First, I live in a single-family home in Massachusetts. It's about 2,500 square feet and has 4 bedrooms and 4.5 bathrooms, with 3 residents currently living in it. Based on our utility bill, our average electricity use is about 24.6 kilowatts per day, or roughly 763 kilowatts per month. For my audit, I measured 8 electronic devices using my kilowatt meter. My constant power devices were the lamp, hairdryer, hand mixer, and curling iron, and my variable power devices were the laptop, toaster oven, air purifier, and coffee machine. I also took some photos of myself measuring these devices with my kilowatt meter, as you can see here. Before taking measurements, I started by looking up the average energy use for each one of my devices, as you can see here, measured in kilowatts per hour. For my time log, I tracked usage for each device over a full week using a shared note with my family on my phone. Constant power devices like the lamp and hairdryer were logged in hours per day, while variable power devices like the laptop and the toaster oven were measured over full use cycles. I used a kilowatt meter to measure each device, including both the constant and variable power type devices. For constant devices like the lamp and the hairdryer, I recorded the wattage while the device was on and multiplied it by the average daily use for my time log. For variable devices like the laptop and toaster oven, I tracked total kilowatt hours over several hours and then calculated the average power to get daily and monthly usage. In total, the devices I measured used around 22.2 kilowatts per day, or 666 kilowatts per month. My home uses an average of 24.6 kilowatts per day based on our utility bill. For my audit, I calculated around 22.2 kilowatts per day across just these devices, which is roughly 87% of our total use. First, my laptop used about 0.08 kilowatts per day, and based on my data. The national average for laptops is about 0.16 kilowatts per day, so mine uses about half as much. This is probably because I keep it in low power mode and shut it down when I'm not using it. Next, my toaster oven, which I had measuring 17.53 kilowatts per day, and this is a major outlier in my data. The typical range for a toaster oven is 0.01 to 0.16 kilowatts per hour, which would only add up to around 3.8 kilowatts per day with extended use. My number was much higher, likely due to either long heating cycles, high settings, or maybe an error I didn't catch during testing. My air purifier used around 0.28 kilowatts per day based on my measurements, and the average for a similar device is around 0.04 kilowatts per hour, which adds up to 0.96 kilowatts per day if run continuously. Since mine was only on part of the day and often on a lower setting, my result came in well below average. Next, my hairdryer used about 0.05 kilowatts per day, and the national average for hairdryers ranges from 1.2 to 1.875 kilowatts per hour, or 28.8 to 45 kilowatts per day. And because I only used this for a few minutes each day, my total energy was so small. My hand mixer actually measured at 0.00 kilowatts per day because it was only used for a few minutes total in that week. The average power for these mixers is around 0.1 kilowatts per hour, which adds up to 2.4 kilowatts per day with continuous use. But obviously that's not realistic. This shows how high wattage devices can have tiny impact if only used briefly. My coffee machine used 4.18 kilowatts per day, which is well above the average. Most coffee machines used between 0.65 and 1.7 kilowatts per hour, depending on the model. My result suggests that either my model runs longer than expected or draws a lot of standby power when left plugged in. Next, my lamp used about 0.08 kilowatts per day, which is close to the average. Based on the average of 0.06 kilowatts per hour, a lamp used for a short amount of time would use about 1.44 kilowatts per day. So mine is on the lower side, but this is likely because I don't turn it off. I do turn it off when I'm not using it. Finally, my curling iron showed 0.0 kilowatts per day likely because I only turned it on for a few minutes this week. This shows how short-use, high-power devices don't always have a huge energy impact, but they can if they're left on accidentally. Based on my results, I identified 3 ways to cut down my energy use. First, if I use the toaster oven 20% less, I'll save 117.2 kilowatts per month, or about 17.6% of my total energy use. Switching to LED light bulbs will also cut my lighting energy by 80%, saving 1.94 kilowatts per month. And if I run my air purifier on low and reduce usage by 50%, I can save another 4.2 kilowatts per month. Altogether, these changes could reduce my energy use by over 18% without major lifestyle changes. Here's my references, and thank you for watching.